James Lupton for Pro Boxing fans. Delighted to be joined today on Zoom with Kieron Conway. Kieron, how you doing, my mate?
Doing really well. Thank you very much. And what about yourself?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. How you dealt with lockdown? How's training been going in it?
Um, it's been pretty normal for me because I've got my own gym. So I literally just walk down the road, and it's there. I've got my own gym, so I've got my own access. And this whole isolation thing, I'm always pretty isolated anyway, because as an athlete, we're always training, always doing something to do with boxing. Not much has really changed. Maybe actually help me be even a little bit more focused than normal because there's no distractions whatsoever at the minute. So as a boxing sense, it might be a little bit of a positive in that way.
I was just going to say, how much of an advantage are you at? Obviously boxing's coming back. Obviously, it looks like Eddie Hearn's bringing back matchroom shows in July. How much of an advantage are you over your potential opponents?
Well, I imagine as boxers they've been training as well. There's no excuse not to be training and keeping sharp and keeping to a relatively fit state. But on the other hand, I do think I've got a bit of advantage. I'm young. I can keep training almost like normal. So I do. Maybe there is a little bit of an advantage, but that's just because of my mentality. That's nothing to do with anything else that I found a way. That's their problem if they didn't, in my opinion.
I mean, the only thing that has stopped people or anything has stopped for people is sparring.
Yeah.
How much or how long a camp would you need of full sparring to go into a fight?
To be honest, it depends who you are. I don't spar that much, as much as maybe some other people, like they do 3, 4, 5 sparring sessions a week and stuff like that. I don't, because that's just the way we do things. It is important. It's very important to get your sparring in, but I don't spar nowhere near as much as some of the other people on a nice long career. Keeping the injuries down to a minimum and stuff like that. But you do need your sparring, but we should all be coming back to that pretty soon anyway, I imagine.
Absolutely. First of all, let's reflect on your last fight. December it was, Craig O'Brien, undercard of Richard Riepel and Jack Massey. Good opponent in O'Brien. How did you feel the fight went now, time to look back on it?
It's a good win. It's a good win to have on the record. He'd only lost one. I believe he held an Irish title. Potentially did well in the amateurs as well, what I believe. So he weren't a bad fighter. So it's a good name to have there. My performance maybe weren't up to scratch. A few little things happened in the build-up for me, but no excuses. I just got a win, and that's what matters. We move on to the next one, and we're backing some good performances in.
Reflecting on fight night, regardless of anything that may have happened in camp for yourself during the build-up, as you mentioned there, on fight night, what could you have improved on, or what would you like to have changed looking back now?
Well, I know as the fight went to about the middle stages, he gassed a little bit. I could tell. I didn't really take a full advantage of it. I kind of just cruised through the fight in a set pace, really, and I could have probably done a little bit better there.
You was due to fight, obviously lockdowns put a stop to it, but you was due to fight, I believe, Nav Mansouri. Obviously, he was based out in Mopay, he's now just relocated to Essex. How much of a tough fight is he, or a tough opponent is he for you?
He's the next opponent. I respect everyone that comes in. I respect everyone that I get in the ring with. But in my opinion, it's the next opponent. It's my next win. I train hard. I train smart all the time, and it doesn't matter who was going to be put in front of me. This next fight, I'm gonna make sure I get a win, and I'm gonna get it in style.
obviously with the pandemic putting a stop to that and many other fights, does that throw it up in the air a little bit? Would it still be Nav Mansouri next, or do you not know? Could it be somebody else?
What I believe it's Nav Mansouri, but there's been no confirmations, and as such, this far in. But that's what I believe.
And as you mentioned earlier, you've got your own gym. You've been staying ready. You sound like you're raring to go. Would you be ready for one of Eddie Hearn's fight camps if he was to put you on it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm training for. I imagine I'm on one of those shows, so I'm making sure that I'm ready for that. That's what this. I'm in camp now, as if I am fighting on one of those shows. So yeah, hopefully things go ahead like that.
If you don't get onto one of those shows, obviously the pandemic's been 3 months already. You've done a full camp. The fight came up, got pulled out. You're into another camp now. How long or how much progression of yours could potentially be wasted if you don't get on a fight camp show?
Yeah, it'll be frustrating because I was basically there or thereabouts when the lockdown came in. I've been training from the start of the year, basically in a nice long camp to make sure I'm ready for. I think my first date was meant to be early March, so we're making sure. So all my camp was building up to that, and then it got moved to late April, I believe. So then it kind of like got extended to there. So we were trying to make sure we were ready to there, and then lockdown came in. So we'd already been through a long fight camp as such, and then had a couple of weeks off, came back, make sure I'm ready now, and it would be frustrating, but it is what it is, and you got to take a positive out of everything. If things did get moved back, fine. That's just longer for me to practice what I'm practicing, and that's more time for me to perfect things as much as possible before I do get in there.
Definitely. We always speak about it, but let's go back to the British title rivalries. So your potential opponents for yourself. Let's start with Scott Fitzgerald. I don't know if he's still staying at the weight. When I last spoke to Eddie Hearn end of last year, there was a bit of an issue with his weight at the time. Do you see that fight happening for yourself potentially this year?
With Scott?
Yep.
I don't know what's going on with Scott. I don't know, like you said, weight. I don't know what's going on with career-wise. You see a load of mad stuff on his Instagrams and online and stuff like that. I have no idea what's going on with Scott. I couldn't answer a question with that. I don't really know if anyone knows, even himself. But so yeah, I couldn't answer that question. It'd be nice. I'd love to get a British title fight this year, next year, whenever it's right. That's what I want.
What do you make of, say Scott's sections on Instagram? And seems to be a bit of, like I say, no one really knows what's going on with him. He's clearly talented at what he does. Does he lack the dedication? He's like you say, his weight seems to be fluctuating from what I hear from, like say, Eddie Hearn and other people around in boxing.
Yeah, potentially it's a dedication thing, motivation thing. Maybe he's got things going on outside of boxing, doesn't help. I don't really know. I don't know too much about Scott, to be fair. That's the truth.
So moving on from Scott to your former opponent, Ted Cheeseman. A lot of people want to see that rematch and they want to see you fight again. Is that a fight you want? Obviously, he doesn't hold a British title, but if it was, say, for an eliminator, something like that, would you take that in a heartbeat?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I do see people keep saying that they want that fight to happen again. I'd happily have that fight. I want that fight to happen. I'm sure he wants that fight to happen. We got a draw. A lot of people say that they thought he won. A lot of people say that they thought I won. I'd like to put that record straight.
With Ted, obviously he drew himself, but before that he had the loss to the Spaniard for Garcia, wasn't it? If he was to fight you again, let's say next in a British title eliminator and he loses that fight, where does Ted go from there?
I don't know, and maybe that's why the fight won't happen. Because I don't know how confident he would be. If they are confident, the fight would happen. It's not. It's not. I'm not saying that it's not been spoke about between the two teams yet. To have that fight again yet. But if it was spoke about, the fight will happen because I want it. I imagine he wants it, and the only reason it won't happen is because they're not confident.
In terms of talks of potential fights, they're talking about Ted Cheeseman and Sam Egginton. What do you make of that fight?
It's exciting. It's an exciting fight. I'm looking forward to watching that fight. I've done quite a bit of sparring with Sam over the years. I've boxed Ted. It'll be nice to watch. I'm looking forward to it as a boxing spectator. It's a good fight, I believe.
As somebody who's been in the ring with both of them, who wins that, in your opinion?
Whoever turns up on the night, I guess it's a difficult one. That it could be a big war. It could be Ted might box like he did with Scott. I don't know. It's cool. I'm just looking forward to watching the action, to be fair.
Absolutely. And Anthony Fowler, obviously the last of the four of you at that British title level as such. He's gone back into camp yesterday. He's looking obviously at getting out soon. Is that another fight that you'd like?
Yeah, anyone in the domestic stages in Britain, for sure. Anyone at the top in Britain, I want the fight with. When the time's right, I'm sure all the fights will come when and where they're ready. I'm not ducking anybody. I believe that I can beat all of them, and that's without exception.
With Fowler, obviously, with Dave Coldwell, he had that loss to Fitzgerald. He's now with Shane McGuigan. Have you seen changes in him since the change of coach?
I don't think anyone's had the chance, to be fair. The last opponent that he had, he was a bit dodgy. I don't really know what happened there. I was ringside for that one, to be fair, and it was a bit unbelievable. Like you can't believe what happened, really. So no one's had the chance to see yet, but I'm sure there's a lot of changes. I'm sure he's working well with Shane. I'm sure it's going well for him.
And finally, last thing I want to speak to you about is the Matchroom Square Garden, Eddie Hearn's back garden fight camp. As we mentioned earlier, briefly, you're ready to get on there. Has there been any talks with you or your team to get on there at all?
Yeah. There's no, like I said, there's no confirmations on things. But yeah, they've asked if I want to go on there and stuff like that. Yeah, of course I do. We all want to fight. Crowd or no crowd, it doesn't matter. We're boxers, we're fighters. It literally does not and should not matter. The crowd basically blocked out anyway when you're in there. It's tunnel vision. So it doesn't matter where. It could be in my living room. It could be in the Matchroom's garden. It doesn't matter.
I was going to come on to that and ask you about that. So clearly for yourself, you're not fazed by there being no crowds. There's been a lot of talk about we'll see the gym fighters, the guys who perform well in sparring in the gym, but maybe not so well under the bright lights. What do you prefer yourself? I know you say you don't spar an awful lot. Are you better on fight night? Do you relish sparring? Where do you come into that?
I definitely believe that in my next fight, I'm going to produce a clinical performance, and that's going to be where I'm at my best. You work to peak on that day, and that's what I'm going to do this time around. But saying that, going back, I've actually had a bit of experience with fighting without any crowds in the pros. I boxed on one of the Matchroom shows before, and they didn't open the front doors, so I was first on. And it was weird because the only people in there was teams of boxers and Sky and Matchroom. It was a bit weird, to be fair, but it's something you just got to do. The thing that was frustrating me that day was because all people I'd sold tickets to, and there was a lot of people standing at the front door waiting to get in, and the doors weren't open. But that's the only frustrating thing about it.
Well, I was going to ask you, as you've experienced it, what's it like? Because obviously, they say you'll see the gym fighters. Obviously, in the gym, you haven't got your Sky team, your camera crew, all of that goes on with filming a TV production. What's that like to have just those, or like you say, is it just purely tunnel vision? If you don't focus on your opponent, you're about to get punched in the head.
Exactly. It's at the end of the day, your career's on the line. You don't need losses in your career. You don't need bad performances. You've still got thousands of people going to be sitting at home watching it on their TV anyway. So there's that pressure as well. But also, like I said, it's your career. You've just got to do your job and get on with it.
How much of an impact do the crowd have? You say you block them out anyways, tunnel vision, which I'm sure it is for a high majority of fighters, if not all of them. Have you ever experienced where maybe you're potentially getting your opponent's getting the better of you in a fight, and you can hear your fans and give you a boost? Is that a possibility, or is it pure you block them out completely?
I kind of believe that if someone else, if the crowd can influence the way you're fighting, I think it's a bit of a weakness. You should be tunnel vision, and it should all come from within you. Someone else controlling the way that you fight, or if someone else is influencing the way you fight, especially a big crowd of people that are sitting watching, I do see that as a little bit of a weakness, to be fair. Like the drive should be in you, not coming from an external anything external. Should be all within you.
Absolutely. In terms of small hall boxing, there's talk of it not returning until March next year. You, until signing Matchroom very recently, was on the small hall scene. How lucky and how blessed do you feel to be on the platform now, where you can have the opportunity to get out when you want to?
Yeah, it's definitely a blessing. I don't know how these people are going to go without fighting for so long. They're not going to have an opportunity or a date or anything to work to. I think that's I'm very lucky in this stage of my career that I've got that to fall back on.
Absolutely. Kieron, that's everything I want to speak to you about today. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us on Pro Boxing Fans.
No worries, it was fun.